Happy afternoon all. I am Mrs. Kiruthiga Mahalingam from the Department of Business Administration. Today I am going to take a session over taxation. This is the subject I am handling at the current semester. From this subject today we are going to discuss about the Indian tax system. In this module we are going to discuss what is tax, why taxes are levied by Government of India, objectives of taxation and types of taxes and canons of taxation. So today's presentation we will cover this sort of modules. So coming to the introductory part of Indian tax system, let me explain you what is tax basically. So tax, the word tax have been derived from the Greek word taxo. So tax is a compulsory fee or a financial charge levied by Government of India to an individual or organization to raise fund for some social cause, public welfare. Okay, so tax is very a mandatory payment. It is a source of revenue to government because we are living in a civilized society, right? Yes. So in order to maintain the civilized society, so that there incurs some cost. Okay, so the government raise the cost in order to develop the infrastructure like building roads, dams, tunnels and other things, and in order to develop public health care, in order to provide a good education service, and in order to maintain the good law and order, and government gives many subsidies like farmer subsidy and gas subsidy. So in order to promote the economic growth, tax is a very mandatory thing which is raised by the government. So this is the introduction over the topic Indian tax system. Let me go towards the next point, what is objectives, main objectives of taxation. Let's discuss about objectives of taxes. The main objective of taxation, levying tax, were raising revenue, regulation of consumption and production, encouraging domestic industries, stimulating investment, reducing income inequalities, promoting economic growth, development of backward regions, ensuring price stability. Moving on to the types of taxes. There are two types of taxes basically. So one is direct tax, other one is indirect tax. Coming to direct tax, taxes which are paid directly by the taxpayer are called direct tax. Okay, so it is like imposed by a person straightly, the person who is earning the income. Okay, so the various examples are like income tax, wealth tax, professional tax, customs duty. Moving to the indirect tax, taxes which are not paid directly by the taxpayer are called indirect taxes. Okay, usually this type of taxes will be imposed on goods and services. The main examples of these indirect taxes were central sales tax, value added tax, service tax, excise duty. So these were some of the examples of indirect taxes. So direct taxes will be imposed on a person, whereas indirect taxes will be imposed on goods and services. Okay, moving on to canons of taxation. Okay, what do you mean by canons of taxation? See, basically a good tax system should adhere to certain principles which becomes its unique features, right? So a good tax system is therefore based on some principles. So as you all know, Adam Smith, he is known as father of economics, right? So he formulated 4 important principles of taxation. Okay, so canons of taxation is nothing but principles of taxation. So basic principles which a good tax system should follow. That's known as canons. So Adam Smith implicated 4 canons of taxation. They are canon of equality, canon of certainty, canon of convenience, and canon of economy. So let me briefly discuss about these canons or principles of taxation in detail. Okay, coming to canon of equality, as the name implies equality. So this principle adhering that equality must be considered to be same as justice. Okay, so rich people must be subjected to higher taxation when compared to poor people. So taxes must be levied according to tax paying capacity. Okay, so finally equality principle stressed out that rich people should be subjected to higher tax, whereas poor people should be subjected to lower tax. Moving on to canon of certainty. So as the name implies, certainty, what is the meaning of certainty? Certainty means we have to know what is going to happen, what is the thing, exact procedure. Okay, that's what. So tax which each individual is bound to pay out to be certain, not arbitrary. Okay, so being a taxpayer, you should be able to know about the time of payment, amount to be paid, method of payment, place of payment out, to be clear and plain to the contribution. So each and every taxpayer should be very clear in all such details. So such thing have been stressed out by this canon of certainty. Moving on to the canon of convenience. So these principles adhere that maximum convenience should be given to the taxpayer. Okay, taxpayer suffer least inconvenience in payment. Moving on to the canon of economy. This principle is stressing out that minimum possible money spent in collection of taxes and maximum part of the collected tax amount should be deposited in government treasury. Okay, so the government should reduce the unnecessary expenditure to avoid all the cost, because people, each individual, each taxpayer, they are paying the tax amount by their hard-earned money, income, right? So government should fruitfully use this tax amount and avoid unnecessary expenditure. Okay, yes. Moving on to the other canons, apart from Adam Smith's 4 canons, the next canon we are going to discuss is about canon of productivity. So basically, taxation must be based on productive line. Okay, so yield enough revenue for government to meet expenditure. Taxation must be imposed in a systematic way so that it may not discourage productive capacity of individual. It may not affect people's ability to work, desire to work and save and invest. Moving on to the next canon of elasticity. So this principle stresses the fact that yield of taxes can be easily increased or decreased according to the needs of the government. Okay, for example, during emergencies, government are forced to collect more and more revenue by means of taxes. Okay, so elasticity principle stresses that the taxation amount can be increased or decreased according to the contingencies faced by the government. Moving on to the next canon of diversity. This principle, that is this canon, is stressing that burden of tax should be scattered among different kinds of people. Okay, you should not keep the tax burden only to the single group of people. So you should scatter it. Okay, so that the burden of tax does not rest only on some selected group. It can be equally shared by all sort of groups. So multiplicity of taxes is also to be avoided. So these canon have implied and stressing that taxation burden should be shared equally among equal and different kinds of people. So that's all about canons of taxation adhered by Adam Smith. Yeah, finally to conclude, so as you all know, tax is a very important and mandatory instrument to raise the public welfare, right? So it is a very mandatory thing in order to uh, make three important purpose. Number one is in order to increase the economic activity, and in order to reduce the income inequality, and in order to promote the economic growth, and in order to promote social and welfare objective, this particular objective also plays a vital role in Indian tax system. Okay, so being a citizen, it is a role and duty to pay proper tax in order to make our society a civilized society. So I end the topic with this, and let me discuss about residential status in our next class. Thank you.